sets, and that was a decision we made early on to get rid of the volume. And so that was exciting from a production standpoint. And then we were excited about moving some stuff up from the later books that were lurking in the background into the front part of the story, like the Great Prophecy.
Yeah, there's season 1 we spend so much time in real world environments, going to St. Louis Arch, Vegas, and this time we are really out in the Sea of Monsters, so it's a whole new world and a crazy adventure that we're going on. So that part was really fun to explore.
I think you tell a story in the first season about these two lonely kids who find each other, and there's this sense of you're watching a friendship form, and it ends with a hug. And I think there was something that was exciting about the next chapter of that story where kids' friendships aren't that simple, and just making a friend doesn't mean that there aren't rocks ahead. And so telling that story really with Percy and Annabeth at the core of it was really exciting. I think from a production standpoint, I got turned on by the idea of doing cyclops.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever really seen a great one. It's really hard. It doesn't make any sense. All of the ways that you would go about creating a creature in terms of trying to understand how it evolved that way and why it makes sense as a creature, you have to still keep a grasp of, but a really loose grasp. And that process of sort of trying to create something that you've seen dozens of times, but it's never quite clicked, was a really cool challenge to try to figure out a problem like that. And I think from the beginning, getting into this with ILM and everybody buying into let's do a great version of this was really exciting. You don't get to do that often. So that was fun.
Especially with a lead. He's the third lead of this season, so he's in it a lot, and you can't hide it. Like, you have to do it right.
And we workshopped a bunch of different things, and then John really pushed for this version, which was kind of pushing the envelope and doing something that hadn't been done. That they were using the kind of technology that they were developing to swap stunt actors' faces, right, with other, but not to create one eye out of two, and not have CGI animators to use his eyes.
And to get a performance. Yeah, to get a performance into one eye. What happens when you have two eyebrows? I know when you're angry, and I know when you're surprised. When you have one eyebrow, the math is entirely different. And so what I hope will look totally organic on screen, and very quickly they'll forget that it was an effect, was just a pretty significant mountain to climb. But it was fun. Those are the things I think that making this show you get to do that a lot of shows don't really get to play with.
I would never have thought about that with the eyebrows like that.
You would really quickly once you started down that road.
And so much of performance, an actor's performance, is here.
Yeah.
Are your eyes and how your eyes move and what you're reading out of your eyes. So we needed to preserve what Daniel brought, and so they figured out how to protect that performance.
And honestly, the biggest part of it, ILM, I think, figured some things out that I'm not sure they were sure they'd be able to figure out. But without Daniel in the middle of that, you could do all of that math and it still doesn't matter. And because they're really just tracking his performance, and his performance is so endearing and charming and smart and nuanced, and the idea that a performance like that met a technological solution that could match it was really fun. That's gratifying.
What about bringing the chariot action to screen? That must have been a challenge as well.
It was the biggest, other than the eye, which I think was its own challenge.
Nobody was going to get run over by a horse with the eye. The worst case scenario was
it would look bad.
Yeah.
The chariot race was our biggest undertaking. Not only the whole circuit that we built, but the three of us, stood around with our stunt team and our production team and one of the best horse guys in all of Canada, a guy named Danny Virtue. And we said, can we do this practically? That was the thing, because most of the time it's been done, it's a lot of CG work, a lot of CG horses, and we didn't have one CG horse in the entire sequence. It was all real horses. and we wanted to do it the right way on our homemade track. So it wasn't even like we were using a circuit that actually does horse racing. We had to create it so that it was safe for the horses, safe for the kids.
You say homemade like we made. That was a big deal.
And we had to get the horses from the
Homegrown.
Calgary Stampede.
Yeah.
Right?
And they had to train these horses for months to make sure that they could handle this track. And
To switch out the logistics of when a team gets tired and swap them out with another team, but they had to be the same color, right? And all that.
I think it was a total of 26 horses that we used throughout the many days. I think with the sequence we shot over 9 days. It was
we were really
nine
worried
days.
about horses getting hurt. I remember that was one thing like Jim Rose said. He goes, guys, a horse is going to get hurt. Like, we're going to have to accept it. And then we didn't have it. So
That's good.
that was good.
Because normally what happens is like if the chariot gets too close, the horse gets too close to the chariot, which sometimes can happen if they stop a certain way, and that's where they worry about the horse's legs. But everybody was so professional, and not one single horse was hurt. And the horses had a blast. They told us the best times.
And how much did you work with Rick on just tweaking the story for this season?
I mean, Rick is in the room, right? And he's also writing his next books and stuff like that. So he's doing a lot. But we used his guideline, not just his books, but he would write a document that covers the whole season, and then we would work with that, just with it. And then when we got into the realities of each episode, once we got to a story breaking, far enough in story breaking, we took them through every beat. And there were times where it was like, hey, that's great, that's a great change, that doesn't work. I don't think fans will like this. Oh, that's interesting, And so then it's just a process of moving forward and repeating that at outline, repeating that in script.
We said this from season 1 that he always, it's an opportunity for him too, right? He wrote these 20 years ago, so when we're evolving this, he has the opportunity to look at his material again and say, oh, maybe I would have done this a little differently. Oh, I would have adapted this. So he's a partner in all of that work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks.